Hey, it's me, Yellow Sheldon. Um, let's chat about e-bikes, shall we? Controversial. Wow, my eyes look so cashed right now. E-bikes. Some people are for them, some people are against them. I heard someone earlier today bitching about how they're not really bikes and the people who ride them are fucking losers or whatever. And that's never really been a problem for me. I think that e-bikes, or at least the explosion of power-assisted bikes, it has the potential to be a very positive thing. If it's getting people out of cars and it's decreasing congestion in crowded cities, I think it's a wonderful thing. The only point that I wanna make, and the only thing that concerns me, is there is this dynamic that occurs when someone's reach exceeds their grasp, so to speak. So, as I understand it, if you look at the death statistics for like sport bikes, for motorcycles, if you have a girlfriend who's like, you can't get a motorcycle, you're likely to die in the first 18 months or whatever. I think that if you break that down by age, you probably see a different statistic. So you have all these like 18-year-old kids with too much money who get super OP sport bikes. You don't have the experience to or the knowledge or the mental wherewithal to ride them carefully, even at insane speeds. They don't have the instincts for it. They don't know what's sketchy and what's not. All they know is that they just learned how to do a wheelie at 150 miles an hour. So all those dudes die. Small percentage of them, especially the like super trick ones, move on. And then, talk to an old motorcyclist. They lay it down. They'll crash their motorcycle. Cyclists crash their bikes. But if they've been in it for a long time and they've survived that initial break-in period, they're pretty safe and pretty indomitable, in my opinion. When I was a bike messenger, we used to say that you start with a full bag of luck and an empty bag of skill. And the trick is, by the time your luck runs out, to have filled up your bag of skill to the point where you don't need the luck anymore. So the problem, as far as I can see with e-bikes, is that they're opening doors for certain cyclists, or even people who aren't cyclists, who just would like to have a more active life or save money on their gas and car bills. It opens the door for them and gives them power and speed beyond their ability to control it, right? So they are the new proverbial 18-year-olds with Ducatis. So if you take, and I've met tons of people like this, you have someone who's maybe a little overweight or maybe a little past their prime, can't really ride a normal bike, so maybe they can't do the coordination, like balance thing, they don't have enough power to actually to manipulate the bike. Well, I think that for a lot of people, an e-bike is a valid option for them. However, I have noticed, and you've probably seen these people around your city as well, a certain subset of them for whom turnkey power that they didn't earn, speed that they didn't earn, and I don't mean like they don't deserve it, I just mean like if you are the engine of a machine, like a cyclist who can go 30 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, and I know that doesn't sound very fast, but sustained speeds of like 15 through 30 miles an hour is pretty goddamn fast on like a lightweight two-wheel vehicle. If you're pushing that yourself, I guarantee you that you've spent enough time on the bike to develop the skill set necessary to control the bike at those speeds. When you have turnkey power, when you skipped the step that got you to the point where you're going that fast, I think there's some danger that lurks within there. The other thing is that they tend to be really, really heavy. Really heavy. They're getting better, but a lot of them were super ungainly. They weren't just heavy, they were heavy with the weight in the wrong places, and they were shitty bikes to begin with, like just, big heavy electric motors and battery packs strapped to the worst mountain bikes ever. So, I don't mind e-bikes. I'll work on them. I think that a lot of the sort of moral panic about e-bikes not being real bikes is kind of bullshit. It's like, okay, so what? Like, you know those shoes that have like the springs in the front and no heel that like help you with your arch? Or like Vibram 5-finger shoes? Well, I think those look silly. Does that mean I get to dictate what is or isn't a shoe because someone else chooses that? I don't think so. I do think that speed regulation is really important, and I do think that there's going to be an accident or two where we might actually have to talk about licensing, somewhat like even, over 50cc mopeds and things still require licensing, because they're torquey as shit. I don't know if you've ridden an electric vehicle. They might be governed to only go 20 miles an hour, 25, or whatever the local law is, but you slap that throttle and they just go. And in fact, the throttle assist ones are becoming taboo. So I think it was New York that just outlawed the throttleable e-bikes. So you can still use a pedal assist bike. And again, correct me if I'm wrong about this. I just read a blurb in my news feed. But I think that the deal with New York City is that you can't have an e-bike where you just punch it and go. You actually can only have the ones where, it's measuring your cadence, and if you're slowing down, it's going to give you a little shove. It's going to push your pedals. So I guess all I have to say to people who are thinking about getting an e-bike, or for people who, just got one, and be honest, like, you know who you are. If you're not an experienced bike rider, if you have physical limitations, like you have balance problems or strength problems, I know it's fun. It's really fun to be able to ride a bike again, maybe for the first time in decades. But consider what you have. You have a bike that instead of weighing 20 pounds now weighs 40 to 60. You have really punchy, torquey power underneath of you. And in here, some of you have not learned how to control that power yet. So be careful out there. And come on, like, in this rapidly dwindling environment for cycling, and I know that it's like, it ebbs and it flows, and there's like bigger tickets now, and the bikes tend to be more expensive, but, if you subscribe to Bicycle Retailer magazine, every week is like a new tale of horror about how the internet is killing our industry or whatever. Like, consider embracing these new things. Even if you think they're lame, it's like, oh shit, that's super lame. Well, is it lame or does it pay your bills? It could be both. It could be fucking lame and pay your bills, But yeah, all you newbie e-bikers, just be careful out there. Respect the rules of the road. If you're on a shared use path with pedestrians and other cyclists, and just because you have the power doesn't mean you can go screaming around like some family with their kids on little, push bikes. And I would say train yourself up to a level where you can actually, it's like a car. Like, you wouldn't just hop in a 18-wheeler that you'd never driven before and just go, they're all the same, I'll just drive it. No, you'd be all over the road, you'd be going crazy. So yeah, I say screw the e-bike hate, but if you're in the crew of people using them, be responsible. Have a good night.